Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, everyone. Welcome back to another Sunni Defense live stream. We're going to have quite a few of the guys on, inshallah. Currently with me, we've got Hani in
Assalamu
Madagascar.
alaikum.
What's Madagascar saying, Hani?
All right. As we say in Madagascar, ohayo gozaimasu. Right.
And Abdullah Mu'taz, where are you?
I'm currently in Arkansas. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, cool. Where is that?
Arkansas. So Arkansas is right next to Texas. There's Texarkana, so that's right on the border. Texarkana actually is half in Texas, half in Arkansas.
Right.
So that's only a few hours from where I was born, though. So.
Okay, cool. Like I said, we're just waiting for some of the other guys to join. But while we do that, can you guys see my screen?
Now I can.
Now you can. Cool. I want to show everyone something. So
That's a beautiful desktop. I didn't know you were going to show it off to people.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I guess it's somewhat anime. I don't know.
I know it's an anime because I know that art style.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of those movies.
It looks a little Studio Ghibli to me. Anyways.
Should we send a shout out to Lion Man? Azzahullah wa barakallah bih.
Yeah, we should. Is he around?
I think I see him in the comments. So sending our salam and the brother Millat Ibrahim as well. Just
yeah.
Because they've been doing a good job, inshallah, on the comment section.
Right. Keeping things clean, mashallah. So yeah, the reason why I wanted to show you guys something. You're aware, Imam Tawhidi created that crappy website trying to accuse Farid of being a terrorist, or a cyber terrorist at least. And I guess it's my turn. We've had something posted on Revisiting the Salaf Facebook page. So that's run by Sayyid Ali from Bayat al-Ghadir. And one of their followers posted something about me. I found it quite humorous, so I thought I'd show you guys. So I'm going to put it up now. Can everyone see that? There we are. Okay, so yeah, it's by one guy called Nasser al-Haq. Hello, Nasser. And Nasser basically says, we are looking for this individual who resides in Saudi Arabia. I don't know why he thinks I'm in Saudi, but whatever. He is actively spreading extremism on social media. Okay. He supports radical groups on the internet. I mean, I'm only active on Twitter. People know my Twitter. And I pretty much retweet the Sunni Defense and Manchester United stuff. So if that's what he means. He doesn't seem to have any activities within Saudi Arabia. What's up with this guy in Saudi Arabia? Social media platforms. He is active on overseas platforms. If you have any information about this individual, please contact us. I mean, if he wants to know about me, why doesn't he contact me directly? What's up with this, tactics of intimidation with these guys, man? It's like, I guess they're learning from their scholars.
Yeah. This is posted on whose page again?
This is on Revisiting the Salaf on their Facebook page. So
that's the one ran by the kid with the dry face. What's his name?
It's the guy with the glasses, I think.
Right. He should switch to lenses, I think he'll do a lot better.
Well, we can't blame Bayat al-Ghadir, but they could moderate a little. If you just see some of the users there, just their usernames in that Facebook group, it's really vile. Like you've got Omari Hunter, Sunni Hunter, and stuff like that. It's like, man, like they're not moderating it well at all. And they've left posts like this. They've left the Tawhidi post in the group for a long time now.
You know what I find awkward?
Unintentionally.
I guess.
You know what I find awkward though is we should actually ask them what their opinion on Saudi essentially like Saudi oppression against Shia and Sharqiyya. They seem to be very close and loving with the Saudi authorities and whatnot. So we should ask them about how they feel about what's happening to Shias in Saudi Arabia. I mean, they always like to play victim. So I just find it interesting in the way they're approaching
What
it.
I don't get, I mean, if you look at anyone who's involved in the Sunni Shia polemics, right? Now, once in a while, there might be some banter, there might be some insults going back and forth. But what's never happened from the Sunni side, even with like channels like Anti-Majus, who really, really ridicule Shias and the scholars, but you'll never have Anti-Majus going out there and saying stuff like, "Oh, please send us the personal details and the address of this person, and any friends or any family members." I mean, this is sick. This is sickening behavior, and this is something we've seen from Tawheed. This is something we've seen from some users on the Bayat al-Qadir page. Just like, why do you have to take that step to get so personal?
Iran is a very beautiful country, mashallah, with a lot of Islamic history, a lot of pre-Islamic history as well. I always wanted to visit Iran, but personally speaking, I'm not going to risk it. These people are violent. Even in Lebanon, once you had a bunch of Shia, not even Sunnis, some Shia protested in front of the Iranian embassy because they opposed, some of Iran's policy.
Right.
And they were attacked by that group. You know what group is in Lebanon? And they these people were murdered. So these people, it's better to stay safe. It's better to stay away from these people.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I late, by the way?
No, you're really early.
Am I? Seriously?
No, you're late, bro. You're late.
Oh, really? Okay. SubhanAllah, you're talking about politics, so I'm assuming that's the issue. I mean, just look at Syria, akhi. Look at my homeland. These people, they're Hawzat, they're Maraji', they're literally giving fatwa, supporting all these militias that are like lynching people. Right? It's just unfortunate. This is what we're dealing with. Right? And on our side, like you look on our side, they'll say, "Oh, well, there's ISIS." Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. You're good. Keep going.
Like, almost every single Muslim scholar has condemned ISIS, right? Almost every single Muslim scholar has condemned what these different groups do. On the other hand, their scholars, their maraji', their institutions are all funding these militias. They're giving fatwas telling them that it's obligatory or fard kifaya to join these militias and fight. And what do these militias end up doing? End up lynching Sunnis, and they end up transgressing, and it just gets pushed under the rug.
Right.
SubhanAllah. It's unfortunate. This is what we have to deal with, and we're just we're an intellectual channel, right? We're dealing with academics, polemics, and it's unfortunate that it has to take a turn towards all this nonsense and drama.
Right. Well, a couple of guys on the team, on our team, are working on a documentary addressing some of the things you just spoke about. I'm sure it will be really, really interesting.
Inshallah.
Well, how about more shout outs?
Sorry, what's that?
So we have Brother Faraz Haq. That brother deserves a shout out.
He does, definitely. He said he wasn't going to make it. I guess he's skipping.
Well, he's here.
Yeah.
He's here. He was doing taqiyya. He made it. And then who else deserves a shout out? Who else? Who do you think we left out? Who do you think?
Millat Ibrahim.
No, we've already given him the shout out.
My sheikh.
We had one guy. I feel bad. He asked to be an admin, but I don't know him. His name's Tycoon. Let's get to know each other, bro, and then we'll give you the banner.
No, I'm giving one to my sheikh right away.
My
sheikh, whom I don't follow in most things, but well, he taught me, so he's technically my sheikh. That's Faridov. There you go.
Faridov, is he in there?
Brother Faridov, I don't know.
He ain't there.
So did I miss any important questions, Hadi?
No. We literally just got started. I was showing the guys some stupidness. There's some guy who posted something on Sayyid Ali's page trying to intimidate me, asking for personal information about me.
There's this account that joined. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, that's one of us.
Making sure, I don't want that drama to happen again.
All right. This is Noor Sunnah.
Sunnah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
وعليكم السلام.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام وطيبة الكلام والرحمة والإكرام والبركة والإنعام.
Beautiful.
Sunnah. His real name is Fiyaz Bhatti.
Yeah, because they're
look him
come to
up.
work where we're from, we're just given silly names and silly locations. So Nur Sunnah, where are you speaking from today?
I'm from a planet called Earth, from the Asian
Which
part,
side?
from the Asian region.
The Asian region of Earth. Okay, cool. So let's move on. Let's get started. First thing first. So we put out this Abu Layth video. This is something Farid was working on for a long, long time. He literally watched everything, like everything Abu Layth has ever said. He's watched. That's hundreds of hours of footage, and he recorded the times of these statements, and we put it into a video. The Sunni Defense finished the editing for him, and we released it. And the reaction was pretty much what we expected. People were very, very shocked at these statements. And the reason why they were shocked is because a lot of the time on Abu Layth's videos, he literally have a 2-hour session, and then he'll drop 20 seconds of pure heresy or pure kufr. And people will excuse it, because of the good that's come with it. So once we've put it all together and we've shown people that, this is what this guy believes, it shocked people. And if you read the comments, I mean, it's generated quite a discussion. There's been over 800, 900 comments so far, and it's only been out for 48 hours. So people are pretty shocked. There has been some criticism on the video, mainly about context. I disagree completely. I don't think anything was taken out of context. And just to make sure that we're being fair, I pinned a comment with all our notes saying what lecture it was taken from. So if you want to go and check the context, go ahead. And I promise, if you get back to us and tell us on this point, you've taken Abu Layth out of context, he doesn't believe this, I promise you, I'll cut it out from the video and I'll apologize. Put it that way. But I'm sure that he believes this stuff. Okay? Abdullah Mu'taz, you had something that you wanted to add about the video.
So in general, I have two things I wanted to add. One is a more general point. I received a question. It was about Sunnah versus Hadith, and that relates to Abu Layth as well as other, modernist or progressives, quote unquote. But specifically about the video, one of the criticisms that we received about the video was that, well, some of the issues that you guys are criticizing Abu Layth for, or you guys included in the video, which, by the way, I cannot take credit for at all. I did not do any of it, so I have nothing to do with it. And that's all, Jazakallah khair, yani Farid and then Adi, I believe. But so they say, well, some of these issues that you're criticizing it for, they're actually masail khilafiyya. They're issues wherein there's some, difference of opinion between the scholars. And so about this, I want to make several points. Number one, the existence of an opinion in the scholarly corpus, of opinions on fiqh or aqidah, does not make the opinion valid. That's the first of all. Second of all, even if the difference is valid, and let me give examples. For example, music. I don't think the issue of music is a big deal, whether you are on the side that believes it's haram or the side that believes it's halal, and I can see the issue going either way. You can criticize both opinions equally. The beard, some of the other issues that he presented. These are valid differences of opinion on them, I believe. However, the problem is, you will have, even though you have precedent for an opinion, for example, on music, you can say, oh, Ibn al-Majashun, he believed such and such, or he did this or that. Ibn al-Majashun, yes, he had this opinion, but he did not make the other concession you're taking. The problem is in taking all these concessions, all these odd opinions, which may individually, independently of each other, be valid opinions to hold, and then taking them all together and making this your fiqh, making this your identity. And one of the brothers, on Facebook, Jamal ad-Din, he actually mentioned he mentioned some nice points about this issue specifically. He said, just to give an example of why collecting all the concessions is invalid, is he said you have a position in the Hanafi school. The Hanafi position is that a marriage does not have to have a wali. The woman does not have to have a wali in order for the marriage to be valid. Then you can find another opinion which says that you don't have to announce the wedding or the marriage taking place, according to some scholars. And then other scholars, they hold the opinion that I think he mentioned that you don't need two walis for two witnesses. Okay, so each independently of each other, each of these opinions may be a valid opinion. I'm not saying they are, but maybe they're a valid opinion. But I don't think any scholar would disagree that a marriage that took place in such an instance where they gathered all these concessions, there's no wali, no witnesses, and no announcing of it, I don't think there would be a scholar on the face of the earth that will say that this is a valid marriage. So even though just because an opinion has a precedent and has and is valid, because obviously precedent and being valid are two different issues, but just because it has a precedent and is valid, it does not make does not allow you to have all these other concessions. One concession is fine, two concessions is fine, and no one accuses you of zandaqa. But as the scholars say, مَنْ تَتَبَّعَ رُخَصَ الْعُلَمَاءِ تَزَنْدَقَ. Whoever gathers all these concessions together, all these easy opinions, all these odd opinions together, necessarily they will fall into zandaqa. And I think that's what we have with the ulay. So each individual opinion, maybe for some of them you can say he has a valid precedent for it. Okay, that's fine. But altogether, he has absolutely no valid precedent for. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. That's my first issue. If anyone wants to jump in, obviously, اتفضلوا. I don't want to, hog up all the time here.
No, it's well said. It's well said. I mean, it perfectly represents what I would have said. But what's the other point you wanted to make?
Habib Elbi. The other point is about Sunnah. I received a question about Sunnah versus Hadith. And the reason why this is important, because Abu Layth and the Zanadiqa like him, modernists, progressives, they always try to make this divide between Sunnah and Hadith. And their divide that they seek to make between Sunnah and Hadith is, a false divide, false distinction. The fact of the matter is that they say, a Hadith is not representative of Sunnah. They refer to Sunnah as being representative of the prophetic guidance as a whole or on a specific issue. This is the prophetic Sunnah on this matter, this is not. Whereas a Hadith is a mere report, and it may or may not reflect the prophetic Sunnah. And this does not have to be incorrect the way they say it. However, the way they use it is incorrect, because all it means is that you have to have you have to take all the reports on a certain specific subject, okay, all the specific ahadith on the subject, understand them in light of each other, not use anything that's mansukh, and that is the Sunnah. So when you have the relevant hadith reports and they're not mansukh on an issue, that is the Sunnah, okay? And this is fine. However, they use it in a different way. And they use their version of the Sunnah to reject the ahadith, but you can only come to what the Sunnah is through the ahadith. So to reject a hadith because of Sunnah is kind of awkward. You come to the Sunnah through the hadith. The Sunnah, you're understanding this whole narrative about what the prophetic guidance is as a narrative or on a specific issue is only the end result of having the hadith gathered and understood properly. That's it. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Go for it, Barbas.
I mean, I agree, mashallah. He just summed that thesis up. Yani, they cannot be exclusive. That's the point. Yani, I think that's pretty clear. What they try to do is that they try to present certain scenarios where the Sunnah and the Hadith can be exclusive, and that's utter nonsense. That's all it is. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So yeah, I mean, it's well said by Abdullah. There's nothing more to add.
All right, cool. Anything else, guys, or should we get into some of the pre-sent questions?
I think we should get into the questions. Bismillah.
Yeah, cool. So I've screen shared, and what I'll do is I'll put them on screen, inshallah, and then we'll read them out. Okay. Can you see this one?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right,
It's
cool.
on your screen, yeah.
I'll read it out. Assalamu alaikum. I have a few questions. What is the Shia position of Abdullah ibn Zubair's rebellion, and how did the Shia of Iraq react when he revolted? I guess that's for Hani.
Well, they hate Abdullah ibn Zubair. And you can see in their dramas, they made some TV show about Mukhtar, and I recall Abdullah ibn Zubair is portrayed very negatively in that. So they hate him. They think that he, tricked Al-Hussein, alayhi salam. And as for the Shia of Iraq, Iraq was under Ibn Zubair's influence. I mean, it was Ibn Zubair versus the Umayyads, which is Yazid. And Iraq was under the authority of Abdullah ibn Zubair. But then some of the Iraqis were persuaded later on by Al-Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. After the whole Tawabun episode happened, Al-Mukhtar al-Thaqafi persuaded some of the Iraqis to follow him, and he was under Abdullah ibn Zubair's banner at first. But then he turned on Ibn Zubair and wanted to create his own kingdom. He wanted to rule Iraq on his own and compete with Ibn Zubair and with the Umayyads. He wanted a piece of the cake, basically. So that's what I have to say about that. And a lot of Iraqis sided with Abdullah ibn Zubair, but they were mistreated by Al-Mukhtar and his people. And even when Al-Mukhtar was proven to be a liar at the end, and some of the biggest Shia abandoned him because he was proven to be a liar, such as the son of Al-Ashtar al-Nakhai and others. He went and he joined Abdullah ibn Zubair, just FYI. As well as one of Ali's sons, he also joined Abdullah ibn Zubair against Al-Mukhtar. And Al-Mukhtar killed him. So FYI, keep that in mind. So that's the people of Kufa.
All right. There's a follow-up question, again about Iraq, but more about today. How come Iraq recently turned Shia in the last 100 years?
Recently turned Shia? Iraq was always Iraq, first of all, these borders that you see today are fake borders. So we're not talking about the Iraq with the borders at this point. The city of Kufa, for example, was always a Shia city since some of the early days. City of Basra was more a Sunni city, and it remains Sunni. Baghdad was very Sunni. Recently, they started expelling Sunnis from Baghdad. The Shia death squads. This is all over the news. And so it wasn't predominantly Shia, but it wasn't predominantly Sunni. It was a good mix, I think. I'll let the other brothers answer. Maybe they have something.
Well, maybe I can add to that, because I remember reading something on this. Now, Iraq, the major cities in Iraq, like Baghdad, you have cities like Al-A'zamiyah, you have cities like north of the Euphrates, mostly has been Sunni, and it's been ruled by Sunnis to a wide extent. And the Ottomans were in power for a while, and then they had wars with the Safavids. Now, what ended up happening in the last 2 centuries, and perhaps this is what he's actually asking about, Iraq wasn't majority Shia, but what ended up happening in the last few centuries, and it's really unfortunate, is that you have a lot of the Arabian tribes that are from the south of Iraq. The tribes and clans that settled around Basra, which were all originally Sunni. A lot of them are recent converts to Shia. So all these tribes right now in Basra, a few centuries ago, were mostly Sunni. And that's thanks to the Safavids. They sent out their missionaries to the area, and they converted all these Bedouin tribes that are usually ignorant. But most of them were Sunni in the past. And you have a lot of the tribes in Iraq, like Shammar, used to be predominantly Sunni. In the last century, they had a huge schism, and they split. And so you have Shammar in Iraq as Shi'i, and you have Sunni Shammar. And so this is an unfortunate phenomenon. However, I'll say this: the recent unrest in Basra has actually reopened the door to this question about Sunnism and reintroducing Sunnism back to these tribes. I've heard some things about some of the chiefs of these clans renouncing Tashayyu'. I'm not fully sure though. I've heard of it, and a lot of people have said that. So I mean, it's a very politically volatile region. And I remember what I told you, Ali, about the villages in North Syria that were all Shia.
Right.
And now they're all like staunch Sunnis. So like these areas change really fast. So I mean, who knows? Who knows? It may like change in the next 50, 100 years, and like it's a mess.
All right. Let's move on to the third question. How come Bukhari narrated from Shias? Did he sit in their gatherings?
No.
Maybe
Shias back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to answer, Abdullah? Go ahead.
La, you go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say that, first of all, Shia back then are different than Shia now. We're not talking about the same Shia. Second of all, Shia back then were different groups. So there's extremists like the Imamiyya, and the Rafida, those that curse Abu Bakr and Umar and believe that Ali is divinely appointed and infallible and all that stuff. And then there's more moderate Shia. We have a lot more moderate Shia that are just, they favor Ali, and they're so these are mainly the Shia that Bukhari would narrate from. So don't imagine the same thing that's going on in our days. There's not like a Husayniyya and then Bukhari goes and sits there with some people wearing turbans that look like tires. So it's definitely not that. And so it's not an issue. Like these sectarian differences were not as distinct as they are now. Whereas in like Shia have their own exclusive books now, and they don't read Sunni books. Back then it wasn't the case, right? So that's what I have to say about that. Don't think that there's like Rafida. Maybe a Rafidi or two could slip by and he would narrate from them, but for the most part, it's just really moderate political Shia. Tafdili Shia. A lot of them are more Sunni than Shia, really, but they're Shia politically.
Maybe I can add to that. So, yeah, I mean, the point Hani brought up is a good point. The majority of Shia back then were not nearly as similar to the Shia we have today. With that being said, though, Bukhari did actually transmit hadith from some of the really extreme Shia. Transmitters like Abbad bin Yaqub al-Rawajni. This was a extreme Shia Rafidi transmitter. And Ibn Khuzaymah, for example, who also transmits from him in Sahih, said that he was suspect in his faith. That's how extreme he was in his ghulu. With that being said, yeah, I do think to a certain extent they did sit in some of their circles. Obviously, the circles were not as exclusive back then, but there were Shia circles. And if you go to Abbad bin Yaqub's biography, who is this Shia transmitter, in Siyar Alam al-Nubala, you see several accounts of transmitters actually going to his circles, and it's pretty clear that it's predominantly Shia circle. And I mean, this is what happened. I mean, the Huffaz, they used to have, quests of hadith, and they would visit different cities. And Kufa was one of the centers they had to visit, and it was a predominantly Shia city, and they would often sit down with in these Shia circles. I think that's a reality, though it's not as exclusive as it is today, right? So it was more open. You'd have people from all different schools. It wasn't as big of a problem as rare as it would be today. So yeah, wallahu alam.
All right. Next question. How do we answer Shia who say that we agree the prophets don't leave inheritance, but Fedak wasn't inheritance, it's actually a gift. Therefore, Abu Bakr was wrong not to give it to Fatima. Before you answer that, Hani, because I know you're ready to jump on it. Hani, when are you going to give us a video on Fedak? Sorry to put you on the spot, but come on, man.
When I have, inshallah, some time to sit and speak for like 4 hours straight, okay. And then you guys chop that up to like 50 episodes. That'll be the day. You'll have a video on Fedak.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that day.
So I don't understand, what was the question exactly about it?
It's basically
saying it's a gift or it's a what?
Yeah, so when you tell the Shias that the family of the Prophet don't inherit from the Prophet, they'll come back and say, well, Fedak was a gift. It wasn't inheritance.
Well, that's even better because there's no evidence at all that it was a gift. There's actually better evidence that it was inheritance than that it was a gift. Because when Fatima alayhi salam came If you read the ahadith, aren't we talking about the authentic ahadith here? If we are, and you read those authentic ahadith, Fatima is saying, give me inheritance. She's not saying, give me gifts. Gift is one thing. Inheritance is another thing.
It's Fatima that
If it was a
Abbas,
gift,
right?
yeah, if it was a gift, that means she already owns it. Why is she going to Abu Bakr even to ask for it? It's her land. That's it. She owns it. And if it was a gift, where's the documents? Like, where's the witness? Like, there's no witnesses. And they bring up that fabricated hadith where Fatima like brought, like Abu Bakr asked for witnesses. This is, by the way, made up. This is fabricated. So Fatima, alayhi salam, she brought like, I think her husband and some lady as a witness or something like that. And Abu Bakr is like, oh, that's not enough. Well, obviously that's not enough. If you own a land as big as Fedak, a big piece of land, there's like hundreds of workers and farmers and whatever working that land. Somebody, I don't know, I think you would be able to bring more than 2 people, as witnesses. So the whole thing is made up. It was not a gift. There is no such thing as the Prophet ﷺ suddenly giving a big piece of land to his daughter. In the authentic hadith, he deprived her from a single servant. She came and asked him, look, I'm tired, I need a servant to help me work in the house. And he's like, make this dua, it is better for you than a servant. And then he goes and gives her like a piece of land with like 100 servants. Come on, I mean, this is just Shia nonsense. This is their mythology that they came up with.
Maybe I can add to that. Yani, something that bothers me is the way history is handled. History is not polemics. These people are like trying to argue history as though it's like, well, if this happened and this could have happened and this is not how history works. History works by us laying out the evidence we have in front of us. We evaluate the reports and we see what is the most likely event that happened. It's not a stupid debate we're having where, well, if this doesn't work, I can make this argument. No, that's not how history works. There is not a single bit of evidence that suggests that it was a gift. The reports you guys cite from our books go against that. The fact that Al-Abbas and Fatima went asking for inheritance, and it sort of it ruins your point. What did the Prophet give it as a gift to Abbas and Fatima at the same time as well? She asked for inheritance, that's documented, and in their reports as well. This is just a stupid polemic talking point that some people think is a good point for some reason. It's not how history works, and it's just really disappointing because this is really common over here, and they'll argue history, based on possibilities and arguments and refutation. It's not how it works. That's all I have to say. I think Hani's points suffice for this.
I would like to add something in regards to this topic. In regards to it being gift, firstly, those who are saying that, okay, we agree that it was not inheritance and prophets don't live in inheritance, then they should at least admit that Fatima sallallahu alaiha was wrong. She was wrong when she approached Abu Bakr and asked for her inheritance. And she didn't know the ruling about that. So at least they should admit that she was wrong. Secondly, in regards to it being a gift, then there are a lot of responses we could give for this question. And the primary being that those reports which they bring in their favor are all weak, they are unreliable, and they don't stand the test of authenticity. And even if you check the text of those reports, for example, they say that the verse 27 or 26 of Surah Al-Isra, the 17th surah, it was revealed in regards to this, in regards to it being a gift for Fatima. But if you check the verse, check the grammar of the verse, it has masculine pronouns. It says his right. It's not even talking about the gift, but the verse says his right, and the grammar there is masculine. So if it was revealed for Fatima sallallahu alaiha, then the pronouns there should have been feminine. It should have been her gift, her right, instead of his right. So if those who fabricated these reports, they didn't have common sense that what they are fabricating, and the Quran is going against them. Those reports don't stand the test of authenticity. And apart from that, we have reports. Even they could be weak. I must admit that I'm not sure about that authenticity, but there are reports which say otherwise. Some people question Fatima salam alayha that did Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam promise to you anything regarding Fadak, and she said no, and she denied it being gifted to her. So the case is simple.
Jazakallah khair. Very, very comprehensive. Okay. Before we get into some more of these pre-sent questions, there have been some live questions. Some of them are the same as some of the pre-sent questions, so I'm not ignoring you if I'm not asking them. It's just that it's going to be addressed later on, inshallah. I'll try my best to get through all of them. Before we do that, someone's made a suggestion, which is... It's from Adam Ahmed. He's basically asking, what are we working on? What future projects are we planning on? First, I'll talk about some of the stuff that I'm involved in. Number one, I've already mentioned it. There's a documentary about the reality of Iran, focusing on theology, focusing on international policies, focusing on taqiyya. It's going to be really, really interesting, inshallah. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. You'll see things that you wouldn't expect. But Abbas and I have been speaking about, is that top secret, Abbas? Or is that...
La, nothing's top secret.
Nothing's top secret. Okay, so we'll be working on, inshallah, something related to black magic in Shiism. That's going to be really interesting and pretty shocking. You'll see some really, really funky things going on. What else? There's a few other things I can't remember. Anyone else? Hani, what's going on with the Nawasib series?
Well, that's ongoing, and
are we halfway?
That's ongoing. We still have
episode 9, episode 10,
around there, and there will be some new episodes. We just recently got into Banu al-Abbas,
right,
and we had finished up with the Umayyads, and some of the coming episodes will also discuss certain personalities.
Okay.
Like is Aisha radiallahu anha Nasibi, is Wallahi is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz Nasibi, is Fulan Nasibi. We're gonna get into specific people.
How long are you going to keep going for in terms of what period of history do you plan on stopping? Or are you going to bring it into the modern day?
No way. No. All the concentration is on the early days.
Okay.
Like even the Origin of Shia series, I stopped at the year 260. So when the whole 11th Imam thing happened.
Right.
My philosophy is, if you understand the origin of something, then everything that's happening nowadays will make sense to you. And it's just these topics, I chose them because I think that's what people should know about. Because, people look today and they're like, oh, there's some Shia. Where did they come from? And then they accuse people of being Nasibi. Well, where did that come from? So it's good to know where that is to know how to deal with them.
Cool. Abdullah Ma'taz, what have you got for us, bro? It's been a while. You're taking it easy there.
Yeah. I'm on a little break. I've been on a break. So I have plenty of ideas. I just have not I've not got around to perfecting these ideas and turning them into videos.
All right, guys, let us know in the comment section whether or not you think his break should continue or whether he should get back to work. Abbas, you got anything else?
Well, as you said, we're gonna do maybe a series on interesting reports and themes that are found in Shia Hadith literature. Very bizarre content.
Right, so it's not limited to just black magic. We'll be looking at a lot of...
That'll just be one part. That's just like a small video, a part of the larger series, inshallah. So let's keep it maybe that part as a surprise. We don't want to show
right. We don't know.
Tricks up our sleeves, but yeah. Inshallah, so that should be interesting. Is there anything else we have in mind?
Yeah, well, Nur Sunnah has submitted a script today, really interesting, about Ibn Saba.
Yes, inshallah, and Ali would be working on that. And my plan, the next project is regarding Nazar and Niyaz, which is a common thing that occurs in the subcontinent, but I'm not sure Should I go for it now, or should I delay that, or should I go for some other topics? But let's see, yani, if the viewers are interested in this topic, Nazar and Niyaz, because this is how we pronounce it in subcontinent. So, and it's related to shirk and tawheed. So, please do share your views. Would like to see a video on this topic, because you would barely find anything on the net regarding this topic.
So, Noor, I just had something to say. I know we talked about Abdullah bin Saba. I found a bunch of reports in Shia books while I was reading, some Hadith books that demonstrate his existence. Right? Some people deny his existence. I'm not talking about Rijal al-Kashi. I'm not talking about Rijal books. I'm talking about like random Hadith books like Al-Kafi, Adal al-Sharaya. So, if you want, and I can send you some of the reports I found.
We'll discuss that, because they have changed their the way they deal with this issue, because initially, like there are scholars like Murtaza al-Askari, they completely tried to deny his existence, but eventually when they found out that even in their books like Rijal al-Kashi and other books like the books of Sheikh Saduq, I guess it's Al-Khisal, they are reports. So they changed their the way they deal with this issue, and they said that no, the Ibn Saba in our books is different than the one that is in your books. The one in our books is the one who greatly exaggerated regarding Ahlul Bayt, and he was a mal'oon, this and that. But the one in your books is different. So we know, we have addressed these issues. Farid, he did a really great job in his refutation to Tayyib. So inshallah, we'll discuss many. First, we'll see those reports, and we'll see.
Well, there's one more thing I'm going to be working on, inshallah. It's going through some of the funky narrations in Kamil al-Ziyarat, inshallah. So that should be a fun video as well. We got a really cool question here, but before I get into that, in the Abu Layth video, at the end of it, we gave you options, and I promised to announce it in the future, and I guess we'll do that now. So it was A, is his new religion called malware, or B, Laytheism? And the vast majority chose Laytheism, which kind of annoyed me. I mean, I came up with malware. I thought it was pretty clever, but no one else did. So someone commented on one of his videos a while ago and called it Laytheism. So yeah, it's the religion of Laytheism, unless there's an option C. And this is what Lionman's saying. So he's one of our moderators, and he's basically saying, why wasn't there an option C called kafir? Yeah, exactly. Guys, why wasn't there kafir? Abdullah Mu'taz, I think you had something.
It's not as funny. It's not as funny. By the way, let me reconcile it for you. You can say it's Laytheism by malware. So malware would be the guy. Laytheism is his religion. There you go. Let's go.
So yeah, what were we saying? Takfir?
Takfir.
You know what they say? There was this joke. What was it again? Abdullah, you remember it, right?
Which one?
The one about life is hard. It's either that you remember it?
No.
Khalas, it's good. I killed it now. I'll talk about it.
That was hilarious.
So someone called. It was funny. It was a joke. Someone wrote on Facebook. He was like, "Abu Layth is a munafiq," and I was gonna reply back, in jest, obviously, but I was gonna comment under and say that's a funny way to spell kafir, but I didn't. It would have been hilarious though. I was cracking up, to be honest, but I like my own jokes, so yeah.
A lot of takfir was made in the comment section, to be honest. Many people just said, "Oh, he's a kafir. I'm comfortable saying this."
I mean, I here's the thing. I couldn't care less. I mean, the guy says a lot of trash, and it's a problem, and we're addressing it. With that being said, I don't have a problem. Saying, well, the views this guy holds is pure apostasy. I don't have a problem. I don't think the guy's a Muslim. I don't hold that view, and it's not me trying to attack the guy. I just don't think that his beliefs are within the circle of Islam. That's all. and I don't think, yeah, I'm
Were
not
there,
saying it.
were there specific things that stood out?
Well, it's mostly the way he deals with hadith and his dismissal of authentic reports. I mean, that's one of the major issues. His take on ahkam, and it's just it's a mess. But I think one of the major issues is his take on hadith and the way he dismissed all these other
Zandaqa, right?
and, yeah, and he's like trying to make
Did he
everything
just say-
metaphorical, and eventually it's just okay. What do you have left?
Yeah, it sounds more like a Mu'tazili / Ismaili approach. That's what it sounds to me.
Bro,
Mu'tazili /
I was talking
Ismaili.
to Abdullah the other day, and I think it's very unfair how people call this guy Mu'tazili. This is like pure Zandaqa, Batini Zandaqa. The Mu'tazilites
Mixing. He's mixing.
no. Here's the thing: the Mu'tazilis were some of the most traditional people out there, bro. Like they all believed in stoning.
Mhm.
They all believed in all these different death penalties. They all believed in all the different ahkam. They were mostly Hanafi in fiqh, like prior to a certain point in history. They were mostly Hanafi, and then some of them became Zaydi, and it's wrong to paint this guy as a Mu'tazili. This guy is Zindiq, has nothing to do with any form of tradition. If the Mu'tazili saw him today, trust me, the Mu'tazili are some of the most lenient people in takfir. They will rip this guy apart. This guy has nothing to do with the Mu'tazila.
So Ismaili then.
I mean, I don't like to label people like rigid labels. I'm just saying this, whatever this guy is on is some form of heresy that is inevitable apostasy. Wallahu a'lam.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're talking about the influence. We're not talking that he's actually an Ismaili or that he believes in
No, I just think the guy.
Aga Khan or whatever.
No, I just think the guy he cooks to the West and he tries to find any way to like make Islam reconcilable with Western values. That's all it is, really.
I think someone described it perfectly.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, is he just trying to become famous like Khalif Tu'araf? Just do the opposite so that people will recognize your existence and people will talk about you. Is it something like that?
No, I think he's probably an actual Zindiq. Yani. I think he does believe in his views. But I have by the way, I have something on that about his views. But before that, someone described him. And he said he's a Zindiq. And he says, essentially, he's somebody who dances around kufr and apostasy, but is smart enough to not directly say anything which is the most clear apostasy. But all he does is dance around apostasy. And what I think happened to Abu Layth is Abu Layth, he grew up in a I think in a more Deobandi environment. He tried, I believe he tried to even do ifta in Pakistan or India in one school, and they rejected him. He used to be more open-minded, okay, before he had all this zendaqa, because he has changed over the years. And when he found that his more open ideas, which may or may not have been wrong or right, whatever they were not accepted, he went to an extreme in more open ideas. And when people replied back to him, even when they correctly replied back to him and corrected his mistakes, he became arrogant and couldn't admit he's wrong. So he keeps on delving deeper into this rabbit hole of Zendaqa, which is exactly what happened with this whole issue of Sahih al-Bukhari. Because it started off with him rejecting the hadith of Al-A'mash from Abu Hazim, from Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا دعا الرجل امرأته إلى فراشه فأبت فبات غضبان لعنتها الملائكة حتى تصبح. It started off with him rejecting this hadith due to his own incompetence and perhaps academic dishonesty. When we replied back to him and showed him this, he kept on replying back and forth, until at the end of the day, it became the issue that, Al-Bukhari actually didn't write the Sahih we have today. So because he cannot accept he's wrong, he has to make his opinions more extreme and find other reasons to defend them, which is just, he's digging, deeper and deeper. He's going down this rabbit hole. And that's what happens to him.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. So another question here. I don't know much about the topic, but whenever Shias are saying Ya Ali and other names, they always point to a group of Sunnis who do similar things. Can you speak about the permissibility of this in Sunni Islam?
Well, I mean, there's several points that have to be made in this context. First of all, when you want to justify something, you do that by bringing evidence from scripture. Okay? You don't point at a group of chimps and use that as evidence. Okay? So this is point number one. It's really irrelevant. With that being said, I personally hold the belief, and this is generally what Atharis believe in, and believe it or not, what the early Ash'ari and the early Maturidis used to actually believe in, which is that this is impermissible, calling upon anyone other than Allah, the istighatha. So, and what they do is that they conflate the concept of tawassul, which most Sunni scholarship, generally has agreed on, is permissible, generally speaking, and they bring this istighatha, which is when you say, Ya Ali, help me, or Ya Umar Madad. No one actually says that for some reason, but it's just an example. The scholars say it's impermissible. Bring evidence. I'll do it. I'll start doing it if I could see evidence that the Sahaba did it or the Prophet did it. But it's just nonsense. You're pointing at a group of people and telling us, well, they do it. Well, they're wrong. They're just like you. You're not any better than them. So, this is not how it works. That's what I have to say for now.
Even some of the arguments that they bring up are pretty silly. I mean, they try to make it somewhat logical, or they try to reason with it. And it's silly, man. It's like, take, for example, when Muhammad ﷺ recited to the people ayat from the Quran, where Allah commanded them not to associate partners with him or to call upon other than Allah. The companions wouldn't reply by saying stuff like, okay, how about you, Muhammad? Can we call upon you? How about your slaves? How about your family? Who can't we call upon? I mean, they understood it straight away. You see, and however, today what happens is people make stupid arguments by saying stuff like, okay, it's the same as asking your mother for help, or asking a doctor for help, or asking a lawyer for help. They try to make this comparison, and that's not something you saw in the past when these ayat were revealed.
Yeah, believe it or not, interesting enough, even early Shia sources, they didn't used to do this. This is like a much more recent phenomenon, even
That's
within
true.
Fedak. Like you don't find other reports like this. There's nothing. This doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. I'll go even further than that. First of all, when you open Al-Kafi, which is an extremist Imami book, so this is a book written in the early 4th century by an extremist Imami Rafidi scholar, which is Al-Kulayni. If you go to, I think it's volume 2, where there's a book of dua, it is all monotheistic. According to Shia Hadith standards, a lot of them are sahih, a lot of them are da'if, it doesn't matter. All of the reports are monotheistic. The Imams are constantly teaching their followers to call upon Allah directly. Not once did an Imam say, call upon me or call upon Ali. So either these Imams are misguiding their followers, and the same thing we say about the Prophet ﷺ, all of the ad'iyah that he taught us in Sunni Hadith, in Sahih Hadith, because Shia don't have Hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. They skipped them. And in our Hadith, all of the ad'iyah are just calling upon Allah, Ya Allah, Rabbana, Allahumma. You know the expressions. All of them, it's mutawatir. And in the Quran as well, all of the ad'iyah are towards Allah directly. So this is what we have. Why would you abandon that and go to this? And speaking of shirk, so this is new. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Safa we practice. I wouldn't be surprised. And furthermore, names like Abdul Zahra, Abdul Muhsin, Abdul Hussein, servant or slave of Zahra, slave of Ali, slave of Hussein, these names.
Bro, in Bahrain, they have Himar Ali. The guy's name is Ali's donkey. Imagine.
Well, that's good for him. So names like these, you find a lot of Shia having names like Abdul Hussein, right? Slave of Al-Hussein. If you look at the early Shi'i Rijal books, the books of Shi'i biographies, and even the names of the Imams and the names of the children of the Imams, you will not find a single narrator, a single author, a single Shi'i scholar whose name is Abdul Hussein, Abdul Zahra, servant, slave of Al-Hussein, slave of you will not find. This is also new, and one of the Shia scholars spoke about this. This is very recent. The early Shia would not do this kind of shirk. You will not find these names in their early books. These are very, very recent inventions. Where they so if you're a Shia and you're listening to this, think about that, investigate that, research that, and you'll see that what we're saying. You'll see how your madhab is transforming towards more shirk.
You know, maybe we can conclude it with just this point. I was once I was interested in a hadith that the Shia always cite in this context to justify it, which is where essentially the Prophet or a voice was heard from the sky saying, "Nadi aliyan mudhir al-ajaib, tajidhu awnan laka fi nawaib." So essentially, call upon Ali, the exposer of wonders. You shall find him, you know, as an assistant for you in times of, you know, hardness. And I was actually genuinely interested in finding the source of this report. What's the earliest source you can find? You can trace this report back to? It's Bihar al-Anwar. So you have 1,000 years. 1,000 years. This report was not mentioned in a single book. It's a recent forgery, and it's a Safawi forgery. And the first person to mention it in the Sunni books is Mullah Ali Qari, who's also a Sunni Afghani scholar who actually lived in the Safavid era. And so I do believe that this phenomenon is a really, really recent phenomenon, even within Turkey, let alone, you know, after Sunni.
I would like to add something regarding this topic. My take on this, yani the phrase "Ya Ali," this phrase in itself is yani not that problematic because it's ambiguous. Yani "Ya Ali" what? So yani in this regards, the niyyah, the intentions plays a very important and vital role. Yani what's your intention in saying "Ya Ali"? Is it just "Ya Ali"? Yani you just say like "Oh mom," or "Oh dad." Yani if you are in pain, you are just calling out someone's name. That's it, and you have no intention of help or some blessings from that person. So in this regards, the niyyah, the intention plays a very important role because as you said, Ya Ali, it in itself is not problematic. Ya Muhammad in itself is not problematic. It becomes problematic when the additional words are added to it or the intention. Some intention is added to that. For example, I know Ali, and this person just says Ya Ali, and he intends that Ali would come and help him, and he would grant him any good job or some blessings. He would cure him. If that is the intention, then it's shirk. But without any intention, then it is not that problematic. So intention plays a very important role when you're calling out someone in the manner of like it's like making dua because you are humbling yourself before that person, and that is the topic. So in this regards, the Shias should contemplate about their own beliefs, that how much do they take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they say that no, we don't call for for help, because they have different groups among them. There are people who say that, oh, we are upon Tawheed and we don't make istighatha, we call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, but we take tawassul, we give reference of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family. That's a different topic. But when you're directly asking someone from help, then it becomes shirk. And the other group, if they are saying that we just call upon Ali randomly without any intention, then they should contemplate that how much do they take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a day. For example, because I used to have a lot of Shia friends, and they are constantly saying Ya Ali, Ya Ali, when they are lifting the weights in the gym, Ya Ali, when they are kicking the bike, Ya Ali. So this is how common the name of Ali was on their tongue, and you would barely hear the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from them. So they should contemplate on their own beliefs and their actions, because actions and intentions play a very important role. So it's not like Wahhabism or this and that. Just contemplate upon your own beliefs. Yani, just try to see how much do you take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much you mention your own creator. It's your creator. You believe in that. So if you believe that, then just see how much you mention the creator instead of his creation, that is Ali. And the last thing I would like to say is that a logical thing. For example, there is a company and you are an investor. You want to invest in a company, and there is another company which is promising you a lot of returns, huge returns if you invest something. And this company, it's promising you minimal returns, but it's giving you the surety that you would get the returns. So a wise person will make a decision that I would invest my earnings in a company which will provide me minimal returns, but it's safe, instead of something it's promising huge returns, but it's risky. So in regards to Tawheed and this istighatha is same. No one on the place, on the planet Earth would say that asking your Lord, your Creator, directly is problematic. No one, only a shaitan. If someone is saying that, then he is a shaitan. Wallahi. If someone says that if you say Allah directly, if you ask Allah, your Creator directly, it's wrong, then is a wrong number. So the best thing is that say, if you have any needs, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, because He is your creator. He is the one providing you food, providing you everything in your life. So ask Him directly, and there is no risk in that. It's like the company which is giving you, if suppose a person is saying that I'll ask Ali, and that's the best thing. And in the day of judgment, he finds out that okay, that's the best thing. That was the best thing. Supposedly, just assume that he was correct in asking Ali for anything. Even then, if this person was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, that wouldn't be wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not say on the day of judgment that why did you ask me directly? It won't be that. But supposedly, if this person finds out on the day of judgment that what he was saying, he was asking Ali for anything, and that turns out to be shirk, then that would be really problematic. So why greed? Why you're greedy that you want your wishes, your du'as to be answered in a sooner or in a proper way? That's why you take the wasila of Ali or Ahlul Bayt or anyone. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly and invest in a secure return and be on the safer side. That's the best thing, and that's a smarter thing. Which, and if you're thinking about your hereafter, then make a smart move. That's what I'd like to say.
There's if you don't mind me stepping in, because I'm looking at the comments right now. I think there's still some confusion about this issue of istighatha. It was not made clear. The one who, according to the Athari position on istighatha, the one who falls into istighatha has to be looked at in 3 different ways. It's number one, in terms of the phrase itself. Is this a phrase of shirk or not? Then in terms of the person, based on whether we decide if the phrase is a phrase of shirk or not, has this person fallen into shirk or not? Okay. Then the third, the person who has fallen into shirk using this phrase, has he left Islam or not? And these are 3 separate issues that have to be looked at during istighatha. Because of a person, he could say, saying, Ya Ali madad, Ya Ali aghithni. This is a shirky phrase. However, his intention could be that of tawassul. So even though the phrase is shirky and he should be prohibited from using the phrase, he does not fall into shirk. Now, let's say he does mean it with this shirky phrase intention, like he's asking Ali for something. Then this does not necessitate he has left Islam. Okay. So istighatha, these words of istighatha as a phrase, it is shirk. Based on the person's intention, they could have fallen into shirk or not. Now, if they have fallen into shirk based on their level of knowledge and level of understanding, they may or may not have left the fold of Islam. And this is my understanding of the issue, and I've checked it with Sheikh Sultan al-Umairi, and he says this is precise. Now, Uzair, he asked a question related to this. He says, how about someone who goes to the grave of the Prophet and asks the Prophet for dua? This issue is different. Sheikh Sultan Umairi, I believe, explicitly stated that, and as well as Ahmad al-Gharib and whatnot, that this is not a shirky scenario. And regardless of whether we believe it's prohibited or not, because this could be prohibited or not depending on how a person views certain ahadith or what. I personally don't think that it's allowed to ask the Prophet for this. Ask the Prophet to make dua for you, but this is a different story. By agreement, essentially, asking the Prophet though, whether or not it is haram or halal, it's not shirk. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And this is what Sheikh Sultan Umairi, I believe, explicitly said in the introduction to his book on ibadah. That he says that this is not the scenario that I'm talking about. Wallahu a'lam.
I have a bit of an addition on this. First of all, I'd like to say salam to brother. I think brother Haji is on.
Yeah,
I'm assuming this is the same Haji with the videos.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me the video. I still have not
he
watched that video.
I guess he had to leave. He said it was Salah time in the UK, but he was in the comments. Yeah.
I don't know how long we'll be on. He's welcome to join. I still yet have to watch that video of his. I have not watched it yet, but I've heard only good things about the brother. So alhamdulillah that he's following. And the other thing is more relevant to the topic, which is they talk about al-wasila, because they mention al-wasila, the means. Al-wasila is the means in English. And what does that mean? That's the issue. So Ahlul Sunnah say al-wasila, the means to God, is to pray to God and this and that. The Shia say no, the means are actually people. I don't know how they came up with that conclusion that the means to God are people like Ali. So you have to go to Ali before you get to God, and that's the means to God. Well, let's see what Ali says in Nahj al-Balagha, sermon number 110. Ali ibn Abi Talib says, إن أفضل ما توسل به المتوسلون إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى الإيمان به وبرسوله وجهاد في سبيله. Then he continues. So he says, the best wasila, the best means for a servant to get closer and nearer to his Lord is to believe in him and his prophets and to struggle in his path. Right? So, and then he says, and paying the zakat and fasting Ramadan and the Hajj. So it seems Ali Nahj al-Balagha is explicitly supporting the Sunni position. That's my addition. So if anybody asks you about wasila, quote Nahj al-Balagha and tell them, look at what Ali says. If they're so stubborn, they have no common sense. Well, you need to quote Ali. There you go.
I think the topic of wasila is quite vast, and it needs a separate session for that. A completely dedicated session for this topic alone, because a lot of question, a lot of ifs and buts would be there. Like if a person is alive, can we ask them to make dua and this and that? So it's a very vast issue. So it needs a lot of time to discuss all the shubha that are raised. And Brother Ali, the questioner, can you ask a question from my side? If Shia was asking him this question, so could you please ask him that, as he said, that we ask your mom for help and this and that. So for example, there's a person and his mom used to cook food for him, and he used to ask his mom regarding food. So would that person, after his mom dies, would he call out his mom, oh mom, you used to give me some pizza or burger, please grant me one burger? Would he say that? Ask this question to the questioner. And if she was asking him, ask him to ask the Shia friend this question, that after his mom dies, would he ask the same thing to her?
Right. You can't argue it.
That's an interesting point. I like that point.
It's a good point. I think we spent a lot of time on this subject, right?
Yeah, let's skip.
Ali, you have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to add to this.
No, Ali, please go ahead.
Well, the original question says Shias say, well, some Sunnis do it as well. And yes, some Sunnis do it as well. The thing is, you can't look at this as an isolated incident. You can't just say, look, we do it and you do it. No, I mean, when it comes to the Shias doing it, you can't look at it in isolation to just saying, Ya Ali. You have to consider everything else in their religion, all their other practices, their Eid al-Akbar. Why is Eid Ghadir their main holiday? Why is the whole religion centered around Ahl al-Bayt? Their visitation in Karbala, everything they do is centered around Ahl al-Bayt, where they've raised the status of these people to demigods. I mean, it's not a fair comparison. And I'm not defending Sunnis who do it. But what I'm saying is you can't compare the two.
Definitely. I think this is a good point.
Okay. Oh no! Before I go there, someone asked, "Where's Farid?" Guys, Farid's gone, man. May Allah bless him. He's gone. Something. Yeah, he's not dead. Alhamdulillah, he's still alive. But he's just out of the da'wah scene. He's taken a break.
Hiatus? Is this what you call it?
Yeah, it might be permanent, to be honest. He's got quite an issue. I can't give too much information away. It's got nothing to do with the Sunni defense. It's got nothing to do with our da'wah. It's a personal problem, and he was forced to just dedicate his time to something else at home. You can contact him. Maybe he'll tell you. I'm not in a position to say that. May Allah bless him, and inshallah one day he'll be back.
I mean, I was talking to him just yesterday evening, and by the way, he's my sheikh. When I was saying Faridov, I meant Farid.
Yeah. I know.
So no, for the listeners, I mean, and so he told me he's just taken a little bit of a break. He was working on a project, but he paused that as well. It's quite an interesting project. He's going through Kitab al-Kafi, and we discussed that. But he even had to put that on pause. I think he deserves a break. I think he's worked more than any of us anyways on this channel as far as making videos and really putting his heart into it, into the da'wah and trying to make it as effective as possible. So I think he deserves a break, and we need to take it from here. And inshallah, when he's back, he'll be back with a lot more content, a lot more fresh content, inshallah. So that's about that.
All right. We've got a question here, one of the live questions from MF95. Salam, can someone address the hadith of Ibn Umar calling the Sahaba of Al-Harra traitors, saying that they will be raised on Qiyamah with the traitors? He basically made istihlal on their blood.
Well, first of all, I'd like to see that report. We have to first see that it's authentic. I want to see if he's accurately quoting the report, right? Because the people that fought in Al-Harra was Yazid's army, and they didn't mostly consist of Sahaba. So first, I'd like to see that report. I want to look at its authenticity, and I don't have a problem, but let's just look at it first. I can't answer that question without seeing the report.
Speaking from memory, I recall that Ibn Umar was talking to his own family and some of his family members, because they at that point they had given bay'ah to Yazid. Yazid was the Khalifa. There was nobody else. So Yazid was the Khalifa. So they had given bay'ah to Yazid. And as we said in previous videos, okay, we hate Yazid. He's an evil villain and all of that stuff. He's a tyrannical ruler, but he was the Khalifa at the time. And people had given him bay'ah. So Abdullah ibn Umar had given bay'ah. And so some of his family members, when people rebelled in Medina, Ibn Umar, in his opinion, in his view, that once you give bay'ah, you cannot betray your bay'ah. You cannot, if you're given an oath of allegiance, according to the Sunnah of Allah and the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you cannot betray that oath of allegiance. So Ibn Umar was telling his family that I don't want to see any of you joining the rebels, because I heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said that every traitor will be raised on the Day of Judgment with a flag saying that he had betrayed, or everybody who turns against a person whom he had given an oath will be raised on the day of judgment with a flag with the label traitor on it. He did not make istihlal on their blood. He's just telling them that you will be shamed, and this is not something good, and this will not be in your favor on the day of judgment. He did not. I don't think he made istihlal on anybody's blood. He's a very peaceful man, Ibn Umar. He's quite similar to Ali Zain al-Abidin. They were not violent people, but that's what I remember. Abdullah, do you remember anything now that I mentioned this?
Yeah, this report. I think this report's actually being miscoded or misunderstood. I think that's
probably miscoded.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a second. Al-Aqib is asking, what is a madkhali?
Okay, I'll just give you a technical definition. I don't have time for this drama. It's it's more of a derogatory term used to describe followers of Sheikh Rabi' al-Madkhali, and I'll end it over there.
Yeah, that suffices, I think. Okay, one of the pre-sent ones. Give me a second. Here we are.
Oh, Brother Tycoon is asking if he can moderate.
Yeah, he asked earlier on. I don't know the guy, man. I'm sorry, bro. Once I get to know you, why not? You could be someone.
Oh, well, stick around. Stick around. I mean, as you know, this is the internet, and there's a lot of anonymous people. So, I mean, there's a possibility that you could be an opponent that's just trying to infiltrate. We don't know. I mean, there's people with tactics that are quite uncivil.
He understands.
And so stick around for a while, and it doesn't take too long to win our trust. Trust me, we're naive here. Yeah, you can just praise us, say good things about it, like our videos and subscribe, and that's it. You probably got our trust.
People really want that spanner next to their name, huh? All right.
Yeah, no, I think we have like 4 or 5 moderators. We don't want everybody to be a moderator. I think there's more moderators than unmoderators at this point.
You know what's funny? Our moderators time us out. I mean, Abdullah Mu'taz got punished by one once. It was really funny.
It was violent. It didn't end well. I'm still like, I get like shaky about it,
Yeah, don't mess with Spanish squad, man. They don't mess around. May Allah bless them. All right, next question. When we're sending blessings on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, in every salah, does the al of Muhammad refer to his family or also followers? Because if it's only family, then in the second part we recite kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim. But the father of Ibrahim alayhi salam was a mushrik. Interesting. Nur Sunnah.
And the uncle of the Prophet was a mushrik.
Right, exactly.
And so we're not saying everybody of his al or all of his Ahlul Bayt were Muslims. When we send salam upon Ahlul Bayt, we mean the Muslim Ahlul Bayt, not the Kafir Ahlul Bayt. And the same thing about Ibrahim alayhi salam. So you had his children. His children were his Ahlul Bayt. They're Muslims. And then you have Azar or some Kafirs that are from Ahlul Bayt. These are not encompassed. So that's what I have to say.
I think Nur Sunnah wanted to add to that. Go for it.
Yes, Akhi. According to me, there are 2 views. The scholars are differed on the meaning of al in the salawat. So a group says that it means the followers, the righteous followers, and the other says that it means family. So according to me, the stronger opinion is it's righteous followers, because it goes in hand with the salam which we send on Prophet. Because before the salat, in the salah, we send the salam on Prophet. And it is Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. So the ibadillahi salihin are the righteous followers, the righteous servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are sending salam on the righteous followers. So in the next salat, also we send salam on the righteous followers of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the meaning of al here, according to me, the strong opinion is that it means the righteous followers, and this can be even supported from the Quranic text wherein we find the verses of Quran, for example, the word al was used for the followers of Pharaoh. You'll find verses al Pharaoh, so it doesn't mean his family, it means his followers. Similarly, if you read, I guess, Surah 15 and verse number 69, if I'm not mistaken, 59 to 60, I guess, wherein we find that all would be saved except all would be I guess all would be saved except except the I'm sorry, I don't remember the verse exactly, but it's something in regards to al, and it excludes the unrighteous people from that, and it even excludes the wife of it makes an exceptional exclusion of the wife of Lut alayhi salam from this verse. The stronger point in this regard is it's regarding the righteous followers.
Anyone else want to add to that?
And I would like to add that
Go.
if you say that the father of Ibrahim alayhi salam is not included because he was not a disbeliever, then the Shias might refute you back using the verse of Quran regarding Nuh alayhi salam and his son, because when he said that, oh Allah, he's from my family, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that he's not righteous, so he is not from your family, so he was expelled from the family of Nuh alayhi salam. So it's not a strong point to use against the Shias because they would refute you back using this. However, you can say that if they mean family, then family even includes the wives of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, are they saying that even the wives of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are included when they send a salat on Prophet? Because they don't make any specific exclusion of any of the wife of Prophet. Like in Quran, we read in Surah 15, verse 59, that except for Lut's household, all of them we shall rescue. And in the next verse, we find that except his wife. In the next verse, it says except his wife. So, if the exclusion of a wife was to be made from the al, then it has to be a specific address. It's not like you address al and automatically by default the wife get excluded. No, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an example in Quran in chapter 15 verse 59 to 60, wherein we find that when the al was mentioned of Prophet Lut alayhi salam, an exception was made in regards to the wife of Lut alayhi salam.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is really that big of an issue. I mean, personally speaking, I remember reading, a huge comment, like a lecture on this. It both seem possible. I don't mind if it actually means the literal family of the Prophet. I don't think it's that big of a deal. May Allah, we send our prayers to all of them. All are worthy, of having, Allah's blessings be invoked upon them. Wallahu alam. That's my stance on this issue. It's not that big of a deal.
And yes, and even we have a hadith in Sahih Muslim, I guess, wherein the salat even includes by the mention of wives, the salat on wives and the zurriya, the offspring of Prophet. So there is a specific salat mentioned in authentic hadith which mentions the wives of Prophet and the offspring of Prophet. So the choice is yours, whatever you say. Because according to me, the authentic and the stronger opinion is it's the righteous followers. But both answers are valid.
All right, let's move on. It's getting late. Okay, so there's a question on screen. Why didn't Ali punish Uthman's killers?
Okay, so I have something to comment on questions like this in general, and then maybe we can actually address the question. I mean, I'm not like talking to the person who asked the question, but these questions are pathetic. I mean, the reason I say this is because I mean history is history, right? It happened. Khalas, just suck it up and move on. Whether Ali did this or Ali did that, it's like I think it's about time we just move on and like just try to live in the present and fix our lives. With that being said, I mean the usual thing that is said is that well Ali, so the people who killed him were a lot and they were from a bunch of different tribes, and it was a state of turbulence in the state after the murder of Uthman, and Ali was concerned that if he killed them, there'd be more, violence happening, and their tribes would back them up, and it just caused a big mess. And so, for the wisdom at that moment, he thought it was wiser to just wait until things would calm down. I mean, that's the standard explanation that's given. But again, I mean, I couldn't care less. I mean, is there a chance that Ali could have been wrong? Yes. Is there a chance that he could have been right? Yes. There's also a chance that he could have been right. Yani, it's not. I don't think we should be sitting down in the 21st century debating over a small political decision made by someone 1,400 years ago. It just comes off as pathetic. I mean, it could be just me. I don't know, but this is what I have to say.
Anyone else want to jump in?
It's time for me to leave. Have some work.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for the contribution, man.
Welcome, Akhi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Rahmatullah.
Okay, but Abbas, I guess you're going to hate this next question as well then. It's also, how do we answer Shia who say the reason why Muawiyah went to war against Ali is because he was jealous of Ali becoming caliph?
Well, I mean, I'd say that this is just some random speculation. I mean, we don't have any evidence to suggest that. Rather, we can actually look at what Muawiyah actually said. Uthman was his cousin, and they were both from Bani Umayyah, and society was still very tribal back then, and people were genuinely pissed off. The people that murdered Uthman gave bay'ah to Ali, and they were in his army the next day. Nothing happened to them, and I think that their concern is justified, right? I think it's reasonable to expect Muawiyah to be a little pissed off that his cousin just got killed and the people who killed him are just walking around freely in Medina, right? Yani, it's not a small thing. This is his cousin and the caliph of the Muslims. And it's not just Muawiyah. I mean, the entirety of Sham and Aisha, a lot of people were concerned with what happened regarding the people who killed Uthman. It's not a small event to lose your cousin, and that cousin is actually the leader of the Muslims. The way he was killed was very, sad. If you read what happened to Uthman, wallahi, it's sad how they surrounded him. They prevented water from coming. This is the Khalifa of the Muslims inside the Medina, where it's impermissible for you to carry weapons and harm Muslims. So it's a tragic event, and people were disappointed. What these people that killed him the next day were just roaming freely in Medina as though nothing happened. And so, again, I don't like looking at history like this and whining about history, because it's just history, ya akhi. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. Allah says in the Quran, this is a nation that has already perished. They have what they have, and you have what you have. You're not going to be asked about what they did. So, with that being said, I think both sides have equally valid arguments sometimes. And it's just like, just suck it up and move it on. It's okay. Wallah alam. This is my rant as a response to that question.
Yeah, you've scared everyone else from contributing now.
La wallah. I mean, I try to be critical, Annie, when these.
Jazakallah khair. No. It was good, man. It was good. Really interesting. Devin McDonald. Go on, Hani. Did you want to
Sunnah just left.
He's scared her. So Devin McDonald's asking, how should we view the differences in opinion on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having hands between the Ash'ari, Maturidi, and Ash'ari? Is this difference of opinion or is it deviancy?
Okay, I have my own opinion on this. I don't think laymen should even get involved in this stuff, really. I think the whole debate, starting it from the start, is pointless. I'm an Athari though. I'm not going to deny my position, but I don't think Muslim laymen should be even exposed to this stuff. I mean, really, what difference will it make? Just believe in what Allah said, try to understand what Allah is trying to tell you in the verse, and just move on in life. I don't think we should get people involved in these ancient debates that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba never even mentioned. Really, it just comes off as pointless to me.
Well said, bro.
I have a position on this subject, but yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, as long as you know where that difference is stemming from. What I'm trying to say here is from my research, which is not very thorough, but I reached a conclusion, at least for now, is that the early Muslims, the early Muslims, who were living in simpler times, clearly were not into anything philosophical or so their understanding of things were simple. They would read a verse, they wouldn't complain about anything, they wouldn't dive deep into the what is meant by hand here. I mean, evidence suggests that these things were not discussed. And so the understanding of the Salaf, the first 2 or 3 generations, is a very, very simple understanding of these verses. They would read it, they would accept it, affirm it, and pass by and never ask any questions and never. But then when Muslims started translating knowledge from Persians and Romans and Byzantines, yani, and the Persians and the Indians and all that, then came philosophical ideas. So Muslims started expanding on some of these things and started to discuss some of these matters, and they would start to get into, okay, what is meant by hands here? Well, is it like a hand like my hand? And so they started a whole philosophical discussion about it. And the traditionalists, those who are, you would call more or less like Salafi or trying to follow the first 3 generations, they were against all of this. They're like, no, don't get into this, just affirm it and pass on. And the others, no, they wanted to discuss, well, does God have hands? And is he composed of parts? And does that negate his godliness? And that whole, debate started much, much later because of that. And the truth is, I mean, whether you want to give it a philosophical explanation or you want to just affirm it and pass on, I really didn't see any issue with that. The 2 camps are at each other's throats at this point, though, and I really don't have any issue with either of them. Some of them, I mean, both groups do have their extremists. There were some who will go and deny everything and just become completely, like they won't even say Allah is alive, because you humans are also alive. So saying that Allah is alive or living is the same as saying that I am living, and therefore that's tashbih. You become a mushabbih, according to them. So that's extremists from the more of the rationalist side, from the mutakallimin side. And then you got extremists from the literalist side who make God to be an object, like Hisham al-Hakam and whatnot. They start talking about dimensions, and that God becomes an actual object. So that's the extremists from the other side. So as long as you don't fall into the extremes and you're somewhere in the middle, you should be okay. Wallahu alam. And the whole thing is useless because you can't really discuss God and they discuss him in a way that it has to make sense in terms of physics and stuff like that, and it doesn't, because physics don't apply to God. So no matter what you say about God, it's not within the physical understanding of this observable the laws of physics of our world. So even what the speculative theologians say, even what the mutakallimun say, that God is everywhere and nowhere, or God is everywhere without a location. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense when it comes to. But that's the thing. It's not supposed to make sense because it's God. He is beyond physics. So it becomes really a useless topic to discuss, is what I'm trying to say. If I hadn't confused you at this point, I managed to confuse myself. So let's move on to the next.
Let's move on. Something a little bit more lighthearted. This is by Live Dash. Akhi, I'm a lover of the Sunnah. I follow all videos and shows. Do I attain moderation prerogatives and eventually become the Amir of the Sunni defense, inshallah?
Why not, ya akhi?
Yeah.
There's always a way.
He is the Amir, but the Amir has to go into ghaiba and never show up again. That's the prophecy.
So yeah, Live Dash, you're the official Amir of the Sunni defense. Okay.
The Shia will be asking now for his number and his. They'll be asking for his information. They're gonna put $5,000 on your head now that you're the Emir.
Yeah,
Congratulations. They're gonna hunt you down. They are gonna hunt you down, bro.
M. Sakija, humanitarian. I have a question. What are some good books that extract the understanding of the Sahaba on matters of the deen, fiqh and aqidah?
Oh, this is an interesting question. So these books are going to be hadith oriented books. So they're going to be reports transmitted with isnads like hadith, and you're going to find them in specific collections authored that contain the Sahaba's opinions. So you'll find books like the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, loaded with opinions of the Sahaba and the Tabi'in. Same thing for the Musannaf of Abdul Razzaq. You'll find it occasionally in Sunan Abi Dawood, maybe a little bit in Jami' al-Tirmidhi. They're more interested in prophetic traditions. But I think the two Musannafin, the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba and the Musannaf of Abdul Razzaq, are like a treasure when it comes to traditions from the early generations of Muslims. Wallahu alam. You'll find occasionally as well in Musnad al-Darimi, in Tafsir al-Tabari, Tarikh al-Tabari. You'll find a lot of reports attributed to the Sahaba. But again, I mean, they're like hadith, so you have to like be competent enough, or you have to be able to distinguish between weak and authentic reports. Wallahu alam.
Okay. Did anyone want to have any final words? Because I'm planning on wrapping up.
Wallah, I have nothing to say. I mean, yeah.
Jazakallah khair, guys. Spanner Squad, I can't thank you guys enough. Especially Faraz, man. Guys can't see what he's doing, but he basically finds all the questions for me, and then he screenshots them, and then he WhatsApps them to me. So, Jazakallah khair, Faraz, and the rest of Spanner Squad. The guys who want to be part of Spanner Squad and they want that spanner, just do what Hani said and praise us a few times, and you'll get it eventually. Yeah,
I'll subscriptions.
Inshallah. Yeah, yeah, buy our subscriptions.
Yeah, if you buy us a 2,500 subscription pack, you'll become the Amir. Let's just make that a rule.
You know,
Actually, buy Bayat al-Ghadir subscription so that we can make more videos about them.
You know, it'd be funny because we're nearly at 10K, and since we did their 5K vid, it would be cool if they made the 10K vid for us. Bayat al-Ghadir, if you're listening, we're waiting for the 10K vid.
Yeah, they owe us one, first of all. And second of all, we made a video about them like buying 1,700 subscribers. We're like, that's not natural. And then they argued like, well, you guys on this day, you got 200 subscribers. Oh, that's not a lot. 200 is not a lot, my friend.
There's a logical explanation on that day.
Oh, we had the Karbala video.
Karbala video, and that was a beast.
24,000 views. And so that's really silly. I do know that they said that they returned 800 of them, but they left 1,700, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange activity, man. It's strange. Like,
how pathetic. That's more pathetic than a selfie. That's like selfie pathetic.
Wow. So yeah, they cooperated with all these, Shia websites leading Shia polemics. SubhanAllah, 2 weeks later, they just, or 1 week later, they decide, you know what? Screw Bayat al-Ghadir, everyone retreat.
Oh my God. I mean, that just shows that they're not honest, that they're tricking people. And if that's not enough to not follow these people or not be a Shia or not trust these people, then I don't know what is enough. Like, you got scientific evidence. This is science, my friend. And, data that these guys are tricking everybody. So that's not good. That is not good.
I guess we'll end there. Stop tricking people, man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.